but you get the appointment, then the next question is, well, are they qualified? How do you know that they're going to be qualified? So I've developed the 5 core seller questions. So you just need to know where they plan on going, how soon do they want to make it happen, why are they looking to sell, what price is their expectation on this house, and then the last thing is what's most important to them in an agent that they want to choose next. And if you can get those 5 questions answered, then you're golden. You pretty much have it. So I transfer from get the appointment, and then the wealth of information generally opens up, and then you can ask the 5 core seller questions.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's me, it's Aaron Wittenstein, and I would like to welcome you to Vulcan7 Roadmap. This is a place we teach how to take 363 additional listings a week. And we've got someone here that's actually amazing. I had a conversation a bit before, Mr. Dean Clark out of Hoboken in Jersey City, New Jersey. Dean, how you doing, my friend?
Yeah, I'm doing fantastic. I am seriously grateful to be here. Thank you, Aaron.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome. And so, I talk to a lot of agents on a regular basis, and a lot of them say that we have listing inventory. There's not enough listings, for lack of better terms. What's your opinion on that? I mean, what do you think about that?
I think it's just all mindset. I don't think that is there a lack of inventory for you to go after business, or is it a lack of having a self-awareness about where your market is currently? What I mean by that is look at your MLS. And if there are deals being closed every single day and listings being taken every single day, then is it really a problem with the market, or is it a problem with you not going after those listings on a daily basis?
So what you're trying to tell me here is that there's still business being done and transaction being, lack of better terms, transacted across the country, regardless of what the inventory sits. Is that right?
Yeah. I mean, you can't. I mean, look, I don't understand why some agents they seem to think that sometimes magically the phone is just going to blow up and light up if they're not spending $250,000 a year on marketing dollars versus hitting the pavement like we do every single day and actually going after it and then making the phone ring. Now, there's more than enough business to be had, despite 2 million less transactions in the market. That's fine. Let the media talk about that. To the public, it's all good. But just look at the data, look at the facts that are surrounding your MLS. And again, if I go back to that, have some self-awareness around that. You see that there's listings being taken every single day. I mean, even today, on a Friday before Thanksgiving, I have 20 market Liberty Bacon. There's people that want to sell, and I'm talking to people every single day that want to sell. The question is, do you have multiple sources, and or do you have the work ethic and the skills and the leverage to have many conversations to find those people?
Exactly. So what you're saying is more conversations, number one, gets to more people, which gets to more opportunity, which gets to more listings. Is that right?
Yeah. I mean, correct. I mean, but a lot of us have heard this before. They think it's like there's some secret sauce of how I speak, or how, my partner Rich speaks, or someone else that is out there like you. They hear you, it's like, oh, well, he's Aaron. Of course he's going to get listings. Well, how dumb is that sometimes that we hear this? Because we're nothing. There's nothing special about how we do it. We just do it, And I think there's a lot of fear around also the rejection. So there's a case in point that I had, and something that worked for me is that we have a small prospecting group called the Phone Wars. People are watching other people obviously prospect at a high level. Now, I'm saying this because it's interesting that when you have people watching you and there's accountability to that, you talk differently sometimes than you just being on your own with no camera on, no one in back of you, no one in front of you. So I would suggest getting in the right environments. That would be the first suggestion. You need exposure. New agents, veteran agents that want to take more listings, to watching this, right? Vulcan7 Roadmap. Are you watching this every single week? Are you participating in what Vulcan7 has to offer to you outside of just the numbers every single day? There's a whole slew of other things you could be tapping into. I think it's a lack of exposure and a lack of agents taking the initiative to plug into what's available to them, in my opinion, to get the information and the knowledge so that they can actually scale their business and take more listings every single day.
Exactly. And I mean, the nice part is, when you're actually in it doing it, you're getting a really good feel as to what's going on in the market. So, I mean, so what are you having success with right now? Like, where's the majority, the bulk of your business coming from right now?
So the majority and the bulk of the business is really expireds and database. So those are the two ones that has really been working for us this year. Now you could say, oh, hey, there's not a lot of expireds out there, right? Okay, that's fine. But are you calling them the right way? And then I'll explain. So a lot of us are trained by an old school mentality that we need to just like call one time, maybe a couple times in a day, and then throw them out if they're like not picking up the phone. But we're in 2023, and I just did a video about this actually on my Instagram page, and it's like a lack of response does not mean a lack of motivation. And I think that we get in our own heads, like how much it takes to call those people and stop worrying about bothering them. Like as an example, are you calling the expireds 3 times before 8:30 in the morning? 3 times in a row if they don't pick up. I bet you probably, I don't really see a lot of people doing that. And then also you got to be first. This isn't like, yes, I've heard other agents say, got to be first, whatever. If you're not first, then be last. I know it sounds counterintuitive, but I would also want to be last because it's at the beginning of the day before their day gets started, and then towards the end of the day. Middle of the day is also good too, but you gotta like hit them like hard before like they really get going on their day. That would be my recommendation on the expired. That's what's been working for us and really our team. And then the database, portion of it. Are you calling them quarterly or bi-monthly, or every 2 months rather? Sending a physical mail each month, and then doing 2 email blasts of basically market stats on there as well. I mean, it's basically building frequency and familiarity with expireds and database, which is why I think for us, going to be doing about 60 or so deals for our market, which is super competitive here. I think is attributed to that success.
That's amazing. And, I mean, you're doing the work, and when you put in the work, you get the results. It's that simple. So how many hours of expireds right now are you putting in, and how many hours of database right now are you putting into your prospecting efforts?
It's a very good question. So database, it depends. Some days I like to spend an hour in the database a day. So that's past clients, Sphere, other agents that you referred business to or you got business from. And that's really what the database to me means. And that doesn't mean, by the way, database could also mean some old Zillow leads that you have or old Realtor.com leads or whatever. But that's not really people that know, like, and trust you yet, right? And so the database is that you want to spend at least an hour of your day or of your prospecting time with the people that know, like, and trust you. That's the first thing that I know is, again, working for us. And then for the expireds, I mean, I want to be done with those as fast as humanly possible. If people spend, I hear agents a lot, especially even with our, in our group as well, and they go and they spend on one source, which is, as an example, the expireds, they're on them all day. And I'm like, well, how is that working out for you? Because you're calling one source, it's just too long. You should be in and out with these expireds from like 8 to 8:30 tops. And then if you have nothing else to call for the rest of the day, go at 12 o'clock in the noontime, 1 o'clock. That doesn't work, then try them again. So really the total cumulative time of the day, you should be no more than an hour calling expireds a day. And tops, that's like the, 100% tops on that, yeah.
So what you're saying is you want to bounce around sources, right? And what's your opinion? So if like a source isn't hidden for 10, 15, 20 minutes, do you think it makes sense to just go right back into something else, bounce around a bit?
I mean, right. So like, if you're not getting the result, basically the question is like, if I'm not getting a response, let's say from expireds, do I just go to the next source? Right? That's what we're at. So the question's around. So the answer is you need to be, so by the time 11, 12 o'clock, but you should have 3 hours. If you're going to, let's say, commit to 3 hours of prospecting a day, as an example, you should be in that 3 hours. Let's say if you have a big enough database, people that know, like, and trust you, let's say, and you could spend an hour doing all those 3 hours, great. Then that would be like what your hour. If you don't, let's say you have maybe just a couple handful of past clients, not that many Sphere influences, and then you have a couple agent referrals in there. It really should be you should be in and out within 20, 30 minutes. But you should have 6 to 7 sources that you're calling through in the first 3 hours of your day. And they could be, for instance, like what I do is expired, FSBO, FURBO. Then I go right to my database. And then if I still at that point, it's taken me all that time and I reached all my numbers from there, and then I still haven't set like a one QLA for the day, then I will go ahead and then I will call it just sold and circle prospect for the next hour. So now I've hit like 5 sources up until 12 o'clock. And by the way, guess the best part about this whole thing, this conversation right now, Aaron, is that Vulcan7 supplies my first 3 lead sources of the day, every single day. So it's great. Yeah.
It's a QLA, I'm assuming, means qualified listing appointment. Is that right?
Yep. Yeah.
Correct. Okay. Got it.
Yeah.
So, I'm a firm believer myself in intros in regards to what you say right off the bat. I should say your hook, if you will, on something like that. So when you're calling an expired or for sale buyer, what's your hook? Like, what are you saying with that first line to grab them, to bring them in?
Well, we have to also upgrade our software programming and again, I was NFO trained for many years, so fine. I'm now with a new company, Watson Powers, but the coaching of that was more around along the lines of the fact that we have to close a ton more now because everyone has access to information, and you need to get the convenience factor. You have to just close harder now. And so what I've implemented, because of everything I've heard from other agents across the country through Vulcan7 and other places, is that you have to be closing after each question that you ask. So it would look something like, hey, Aaron, I saw your property come off of our MLS system that shows us what's available. Just curious to see when we can meet, preferably later this afternoon, that I can show you a completely different approach on how to get your property sold. And then they say, took it off the market, whatever they want. Or they say, yes, fine, great. I've gotten those before. It happens. Like 1 out of 10, that does happen. But then from there, it's like, okay, so they say, I took it off the market. Got it. So did your plans change altogether? Like it just doesn't make sense for you? Or financially, do you feel like it's not a good time to sell? So I want to get an idea of like, where are they at into their process? But then I close. So no matter, you tell me, I don't think it's a good time to sell. Hey, you know what? A lot of people were in your same situation. Interesting though, in the last like 30 days, I sold 2 properties that were similar to yours. So I'll tell you what, I'll meet you at 5 o'clock today, or I can meet you in an hour, whichever you prefer. I'm just going for it. So that expires need to be hit. You have to. The whole, when are you planning on interviewing an agent? Then if you sold, where are you planning on moving to? No one's got time for that anymore. And not in this market, at least. That's what I found. And so we have to just go into it and just like get it done. But then you can ask those pre-qualified. Now, so someone asked me the other day, they said, all right, well, D, let's say you get the appointment. And like after like the second ask that you ask, okay, fine. You'd be surprised, by the way, how many people are like, well, I can't do 5. Can I do like 4? And I'm like, oh, sure. Yeah, let's go. You know? And so on that point though, if you get the appointment, let's say that soon, then the next question is, well, are they qualified? How do you know that they're going to be qualified? Okay. So I've developed for myself and for my team, especially for expireds only, we're talking about, this is just like what the source is. And also for every other lead source you could potentially get that may not want to talk to you as much, or like you get the appointment, you're kind of moving on, is the 5 core seller questions. So you just need to know where are they planning on going? How soon do they want to make it happen? And why are they looking to sell? What price is their expectation on this house? And then the last thing is, what's most important to them in an agent that they want to choose next? And if you can get those 5 questions answered, then you're golden. You pretty much have it. But if the guy says to you on the phone, obviously, Aaron, it's like, they say to us, oh, well, they were listed at 600 and now they want 700. Mm-hmm. Am I really going to probably go on that? Probably not. And I'll probably call him a couple hours later and say, look, we have an appointment at 5 o'clock. I did I saw the data out there. Aaron, just tell me, is there anything that you did to upgrade this property that I'm not seeing online that doesn't match up to it? And then you can go into it. Because if he's a real seller, he'll answer that question. And if he's not, he's gonna be like, well, it doesn't really matter. Aren't you the agent? So we hear all these different things, but if you just gotta get in the door. So I transfer from get the appointment, and then the wealth of information generally opens up, and then you can ask the 5 core seller questions.
No, that's really good. So basically, the nice part about you're going right for it, which is something that I do as well myself. But it's a lot of agents will go on appointments that aren't QLA. I'm going to steal that term, by the way, QLA. They go on these appointments that aren't as qualified, if you will, because like I said, there's nothing wrong with going on an appointment that's not qualified. Yet we want to use the highest and best use of our time. is basically where we're at. And so let me ask you this. I'm not sure if you're a numbers person or not, but if you are, do you know, like, it takes me this many contacts to get this many appointments, to get this many closed, to get this amount of money? Do you know those numbers?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
Would you mind sharing?
So if it is the question more like, what's my ratio? Yes, of course. So basically, if we're talking about expireds, it's 1 in 10. I'm getting a listing from calling. Every 10 legitimate expireds that I'm calling with closing the way that you and I do it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm getting listing signed. Okay. And let's be honest, just going back to the qualification of that listing. Let's say we get the appointment pretty soon. Like I want to just isolate that for a second because everyone gets tripped up on that. And they follow like an old school 1970s mentality around like when you had all the cards and you had all the information before there was the internet. Plus, it's like it's not the market of 2008 anymore. So when you have so much less inventory, it's the inventory that is the prize. So, but you and I both agree, right? That I would assume that what is the number one thing that makes a property qualified? It's really two things. It's the price, but really more, it's the motivation. But the motivation also caves into the price, right?
Exactly. And I mean, price is almost, sometimes price is secondary to motivation. At least from what I find. I mean, I could tell stories for days when price just didn't even matter anymore. So that's extremely valid, when you say that. And I find it to be extremely impressive that when you have 10 ready to go expireds, you're going to list one of them. And, those numbers are just absolutely amazing. And like I said, I love what you say with this stuff. What's the most common objection that you're getting nowadays? What would you say?
Well, right now, because it's we're getting into Thanksgiving, I'm going to wait for the holidays to happen, and I think that we need to flush that out, and we need to basically say, hey, you know what, Dean, I'm going to wait for the holidays to I'll just call me next year and we can do it. Yeah, it's totally fine. Let me ask you though, is it because you just don't want people checking through your house because you're setting up for the holidays, or do you feel like it was a good time to financially sell right now? So you have to flush out what is really the actual objection there, because it may not be that they had no offers. But maybe to them, they're just like, I have to keep on doing this process all the time. I don't want to keep on doing that half the time. So it's really digging deeper and not being afraid to be so curious about what's going on in their situation. So that's the biggest, that'll be like the holiday objection. But it's really just like, sometimes they're just like done with the process. But I've gotten so many other appointments and they're like, but you got to just flush it out. Flush out the objection. Don't be scared to ask them. Just be curious about it, genuinely curious about their situation and their needs. And by the way, I will say this though, this is a big miss I see with a lot of agents. So one of my old coaches way back in the day, we had a referral income goal. So referral income meaning I refer you, Aaron, down in Florida, let's say, a lead, and then you pay me a referral fee, right? Like agents, we do this all the time, right? This is an agent referral business, right? Okay. When you call an expire or you call a FSBO for that matter, okay, like what are the chances that FSBOs are actually selling in this market? Pretty good. Or at least they're getting activity, they're getting offers, right? So what else, where else can you go? So many agents, they stop when there's not a deal, a listing to be had right there on the spot. They're like, oh, okay, sorry, sir, I'm going to go ahead, or sorry, ma'am. But what about this? Hey, guess what? You know what, Dean? I get up, this is also something I get a lot. Hey, Dean, I already listed with another agent. I said, oh, did you have a signed listing agreement? You have to ask that question. I see you have a signed listing agreement with that said agent. They say yes. And then I say, great. Hey, listen, now that you figured this part out in your entire process, selling it, which is fantastic for you. Let me ask you, when you do sell the property, where are you planning on moving to? Now, if they say, I'm looking to move down to Florida, great. Well, you know what? And then I would ask maybe some more questions there. How soon do you want to be down there by? What does it all look like? If they say anything like, why do you need to know all this information? Well, the reason I asked, I'm so glad you brought that up. The reason I asked that question is because I have a fantastic referral partner down there for you in Sarasota, in Fort Lauderdale, in Boca Raton that I would love to connect you with. Are you still looking for that property? Yes, I am. And I've gotten this countless times. And they're like, great. What I'm going to do now that we get off the phone, are you open to a second opinion to work with a different agent or work with an agent down there? Yes, most of the time. And the way you phrase that question though, Aaron, the way I've gone, and now I have a goal. Each year I bump it up by about 10 grand. Last year I made 50 grand from referral fees. And then this year is going to be about the same. And so what we do is, what you want to ask is the closing question to see if they're open to it after qualifying them to see on the buy side where they're at is, hey, do you have an agent that you're working with, or would you be open to a second opinion? So that's something that we do. And I think agents, they stop way too short of the prize, which is not just that, but it's also that. And then guess what the best part is about that? If I connect the lead with Aaron down there on the buy side, well, guess what? Now Aaron's going to keep me posted, and if their property up here is selling. So now it's a 2-for-1 approach, and Aaron's like, yo, he hasn't sold his property yet. Go get him. Awesome. I got it before it comes off the market for sale. So now you're just like, you're now prospecting, and so I had someone shout at me this week, Aaron. And by the way, cut me off at any time if I'm rambling here, but I just want to share this, is I had someone shadowing me in doing what I was doing in my business this week. And so, and I said, well, what's the one takeaway that you got, from this week? He goes, Dean, he's like, prospecting I thought was one-dimensional. And now I realize it's 3-dimensional. Meaning that we just think of the phone to ask one question. If I don't get any right answer, I'm done. And it's like, no, stop being so short. You know what I mean? And so that's the biggest lesson I can take away from expireds and FSBOs right now.
It's funny. You just completely alluded to my next question, because the thing is that I always ask, an agent walks across your door, knocks on your door and says, Dean, I got one question for you. What piece of advice do you have for me? And you just gave it to me, which is absolutely amazing. I didn't realize prospecting was 3-dimensional rather than 1-dimensional. And what I love is you got some really, really good ideas there, and it's impressive. But I think the part that is you're excited about it and you enjoy it. And there's a lot of people that I speak with that I know, I got to go home again. It's time to prospect. They call cold calling. I got a cold call. And you're like, you love it, man. And, it's exciting to see that. And I mean, let me ask you, so when it comes to prospecting, what is your absolute favorite part about it? Other than taking listings, what's your favorite part about prospecting?
I would say there's 2 things. It's a great question. I think there's 2 things that I love about it. Number one, I'm in control. I'm a control freak, to a certain extent, about my own personal activities. And so I love the fact that I don't have to, I know some agents do heavy marketing and they can't control what comes into them, which again is another form of business, a way of operating business. But when I'm finding business every day, I feel that sense of control that I have over my conversations, my skill set, the way I'm doing it. And it's just so much more methodical that way and efficient in the way I do it. And then the second thing I would say then is I love it because we judge people way too quick in this world. Honestly, we judge everyone. Oh, the way that they look, the way that, oh, you're not a real producer, or you're not a real seller, you're not a real buyer. How do you, what do you know that I don't know? And it's like, I love about it because it's so unpredictable, but yet it's still predictable. If that makes sense. In other words, like, I don't know what they're going to say, who they really are, how many properties that they actually own. I spoke to a guy that he's like wearing ripped jeans, like older guy. I'm like, this guy, I walked in on the appointment. I was like, there's no way this guy even owns the property. I felt like it was like, it doesn't make any sense. It was like $1.2 million. And he was like, yeah, I just kind of got tired of managing all these rental units. And, because obviously we're in Jersey City, Hoboken. So I deal with rentals a lot. And it's like, and he apparently owns 20 properties all up and down the coast here in Jersey. And I'm like, my immediate judgment of that. Yeah. My immediate judgment of that client was like, this guy doesn't own anything. I'm just like, this is not. So I think that that's the 2 things. It's like the unpredictability of not and never judging anyone is so cool because it's a meritocracy in real estate, which I love. And then at the same time, it's being in control of what I'm doing.
Perfect. No, I love it. I know I like that a lot, what you just said. Dean, so I want to say thank you so much for being here today. Genuinely appreciate it. Phenomenal stuff. Everybody needs to watch this one. For all the referrals coming in and out of Jersey City or Hoboken, whether they want to get in touch with you about phone warriors, how do they get in touch with you? What's the best way?
Best way, find me on social at Dean Clark Group. And then they can also find the Phone Warriors group on Facebook. Just type in Phone Warriors in Facebook in the search there, and you'll find our group and just join for free. Put in your email and everyone's good to go.
Beautiful. All right, my friend. Thank you so much for being here. This is not the last you and I have spoken, by the way. We will definitely connect. I just want to say thank you very much for your time and have an amazing rest of the day. All right?
Yeah.